Welcome back to the Curious Life podcast. I'm Yana Firestone. But before we get going, I had to get my beautiful friend Heidi back on the podcast the minute I stopped watching the last episodes of Salt Lake City. I just knew I had to talk about this with no one else but Heidi Anderson. Heidi, thank you so much for jumping on at the last minute.
That's okay. Look, this is therapy for me as we talk about it being pop therapy. So I was filming today anyway. So I was about to do my hair and makeup and I was like, do you know what? It'll get me in the zone for filming the stuff that I'm doing today. And also what I thought was really interesting when you messaged me, I watched Real Housewives of Salt Lake City yesterday and I didn't take anything away about Bronwyn's mother. So I was like, what did I miss yesterday and so I'm really excited to hear what you think.
Well, technically I was a bit behind. So I watched last week's episode and this week's episode last night.
Got it.
And so it was really last week's episode where Bronwyn was sitting on the couch with her mum. Now, I made a few notes about just some of the little clangers that her mum threw out while firing daggers at her with this evil kind of smirk at the same time. She said beautiful things such as, this kind of parenting that you're doing, Bronwyn, is not the kind of parenting I've ever seen work. She said, I would have put my head on the chopping block that you would never have done any of the things that you did. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Tough love. See how much better that works? Your daughter had a baby as a teenager, Muzzy. How is your tough love working? And Bronwyn sits there going, it didn't work. Did your parenting work? I was out having sex and having a baby. Then it really gets going. Then she starts saying things like, Bronwyn says, you made my pregnancy miserable. You didn't allow me to celebrate. You didn't let me have a baby shower. Then she says in the interview, she was in Baby Gap pregnant and says to the sales assistant that her mum says, I'm buying something for my granddaughter. And the sales assistant says, oh, are you having a baby girl? And she says, oh, I think it's for my sister. And the sales assistant says, are you going to get something for this baby too? And she says, no. And she's still got the same seething venom, like she's been betrayed, the shame, the horror, how dare you do this to me, is the vibe that we got from Bronwyn's mum, that 20 years later feels as close to the surface as it probably did 20 years ago.
Oh, it was so uncomfortable. So, yes, that was the one that you were talking about. And then in last night's episode, when they were sitting down to do the tarot cards, he suggested forgiving her mum and meeting her where she's at, which is a big thing as you would go through all of the work that you've done in, the psych world. That's a big thing and that will take a long time. My question for you, what's your thoughts on the whole thing?
Well, I think from what I've read, and I don't know anyone personally from the Mormon faith, but from what I've read online, this is very much entrenched in the culture that girls are taught and kind of enforced to just be serving faithful, loyal wives and mothers. And so part of her mother's role, and this is not excusing any of it by any means, but just by way of context, her mum comes from the older generation. Her father was important in the church. And it seems as if their belief is, we keep you small, we keep you humble, and you're just going to be a loyal wife and mother. There's no sex before marriage. There's no drinking, no drugs, no caffeine, all the other things. And she failed. Our baby, our youngest child, failed, and shame brought so much shame on this family that still to this day I feel like I've got to humble you because you still continue to bring shame on this family with your terrible mistake, quote unquote. And that beautiful mistake is 18, 19, however old she is, walking around in this world. At no point did her mother say, yes, it was a terrible time, it was so hard, but look at our beautiful Gwen, and I'm just so grateful because we love her so much. And like there was nothing. It was so It was violent.
It was hard. Like, I understand when you see situations like that, how people cut ties with their family members. You know
Yeah.
how there's that old thing that you meet people and when they never really understand what goes on behind closed doors, so many people will say, oh, I can't believe they don't talk to their mother. Oh, I
Mhm.
can't believe they don't talk to their father anymore. Like, how horrible is that? And it's like, well, you can understand that, you know, if I was Bronwyn, you could easily understand why she doesn't talk to her, why she wouldn't talk to her mum anymore.
Mm.
However, what I did like is that Bronwyn is quite smart. She does know how to jab those jabs in
Mm.
there. Like, she's good at that. So she was kind of saying that to her mum because I was sitting there going, is this mum fucking joking? Like, she's
Yeah.
so contradicting everything that
Yes.
she's saying
The
because
hypocrisy.
that's what. Oh, and then I said, is she so blinded? But for me, this is where what makes me really uncomfortable about these really black and white views is like what it's done to her. Like, you see this bleeding. We've only seen Bronwyn for like one and a bit season.
Yeah.
You can see, and I hate to say this, but if we want to point the telescope at the mother, Bronwyn is the way that she is because of what you've done, and that isn't always pretty.
Yeah. And it gives a whole new kind of perspective on her dynamic with her husband Todd, don't you think? We see her, and you and I have talked about this before, we see Bronwyn shrink away
Yeah,
with Todd and, be seeking his approval. And you can see when he's got an opinion, she's almost like put in her box and she's shrouded in shame.
yeah,
And you can just see her, even though she stands up to her mum, you can see her shrinking away in the same way. And everything is another stab and a stab and a stab. She hasn't got a big protective wall up with
yeah.
her mum. It's like she's bleeding all over the place and saying,
Oh,
Mum, you're
yeah.
stabbing me and I'm bleeding all over you. And
But
her
you
mum
mean
just
like
keeps going.
boundaries? She needs to have. She over the years hasn't, and obviously because they're going through all these health things, she's kind of brought her mum in. And I think we all have this beautiful dream. I'm sure of when our parents get older that, we're going to connect with them in a different way, but because we're still those little kids inside seeking
Mm,
approval, the inner child stuff that you and I have talked about before. That's
yeah,
what we're seeing kind of bleed out on the screens, isn't it?
absolutely. And that is all I see with Bronwyn is that little girl, like just screaming for her mum's love. That clearly her other siblings, her older siblings, sounded like they had no trouble getting. And maybe they were the quote unquote good girls, following the rules and doing as they were expected. And Bronwyn veered off the course a little bit from their Mormon world. And her mum still cannot forgive her for any of it. And it's like we got a hint of it when we first met Muzzy, her mum, where she sits on the couch saying, You'd be nothing without Todd. Thank God you got Todd and all his money. Well, actually, Muzzy, thank God for you, because otherwise you'd be in an old people's home by yourself.
Yeah,
You are living in a mansion, having every whim catered for because of Todd and
yeah,
his money,
yeah.
And how about saying, wow, we were so worried about you when you were a single mum at 19 and we thought, where's this going to go? And look at you now. You've got a thriving career on TV, you do these really interesting things. You've got access to beautiful things. You are so open, blah, 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 whatever it is. She can't say a single positive thing. The
It
closest
really hits you in the heart, doesn't it?
yeah. And the closest, and in fact, there's a couple of other things that she said that were so
I love you broke them all down.
abhorrent. I had to write them down, especially about the contradictions, as you mentioned. She
Mm.
was saying, Mum, you made that so hard for me. And then she immediately counters with, Do you know how hard it was for me to deal with that shame of what you did to us? And then you dumped your kid on me like a child care. And then Bronwyn says, what do you mean? I was working. Well, we didn't want the child to go to foster care, as if the only alternative was to have a child taken away from her as a working single young mother or dumped with the grandmother. And then in the next breath, accuses her of not wanting to give her up for adoption, as if that was, we're still hanging, well, you didn't want to have an adoption. You know, you were adamant you were going to keep her. Like, how dare you? We gave you every option to get rid of this baby and you decided to keep it. Like, this is your adult grandchild who you would think you had 20 years to get to know and love and adore and wouldn't want to hurt. Like,
Yeah.
what kind of personality disorder are we looking at here? Is this like the
Yes.
ultimate narcissistic personality disorder, or is this indoctrination from a religious, or is it, you know, a combination of many things? I mean, it was so jarring to watch. It
Because
just
you
got
just,
worse.
yeah, and you can just imagine her like 20, 30 years ago speaking to a little child like that. That's what,
Yes.
because that for me is, she's obviously never changed. And I guess that's what could have been such a beautiful healing moment for them both, and fucking fantastic TV, especially for all the daughters and mums out there who have broken relationships or hard relationships or trying to heal their relationships as they get older. Could have been such a moment on TV, and sadly Muzzy couldn't fucking bring it. And I think if Bronwyn can forgive her mum, she's a fucking legend. If she can forgive her mum and take her for who she is and accept her and continue to have her in her house with the way that she is, then she is a hero. Because for me, there's this whole thing of that Bronwyn is disrespecting herself by allowing her mother to continue to speak to her like that. And I think that goes to everyone and anyone listening. This is something I've had to work through in the last 18 months, not with my mum, but with other family members, of going to actually step in and fight for yourself. And that means sometimes saying, hey, I need to remove myself from the situation because you can no longer speak to me or treat me that way. And when you choose to, you know, like that. So that was what I was kind of hoping for, a moment of like that they would apologize. Then Bronwyn can be like, okay, moving forward, I've got these boundaries. I'm going to do this. And then, like I said, all the girls who you know, all the women around the world who know this feeling of, you know, that they have sometimes with their mothers, they go like, yes, oh, beautiful. So I wonder if you're more triggered. Do you feel like maybe you're more triggered because your mum's not here? Like,
well,
like
not, it's not that.
Well,
No, I don't think. I don't.
In you is like working
Yeah, it's more. What is it? What is it? I don't know why I had such a strong reaction. I think it's because I'm looking at Bronwyn, and you know, I'm not like a Bronwyn stan by any means. In fact, I was talking to Ryan Bailey a few weeks ago, probably not saying some great things about Bronwyn. And now it's like the veil has been lifted a little bit. And it's like, okay, now we've got some context and some background that helps me really see Bronwyn. I was starting this season like, oh my God, what a loser, embarrassing. You admitted that you faked buying this $4 million necklace to try to keep up with the girls and try and look richer than you are. Like,
them to like her, or the public to like her.
Yes. And there you go. That is the recurrent theme of her life, looking for approval from places where she's not going to get it, like using the money, fake or real, to get the approval of the girls in the group, you know, looking for approval still to this day on that couch with her mum and not getting it from her, looking to Todd for approval, and Todd doesn't give it to her. He holds back. You know, last season was terrible. Everyone was talking about how horrible he was, and she started this season saying he's done some reflecting and he's, you know, ashamed of how he's come across, and you can see him withholding a little bit. But all I see is that shrinking little girl who cannot hide the wound that keeps being inflicted by her mother, by any kind of strong comment from Todd, where you can see her sort of start to open up and feel proud of herself for whatever she's saying, and then just get shut down. And you can see it. It's just like so easily under, it's just right there under the skin on the surface, and we can see it all. And you just think, she says some strong things like, Mom, that was you. You did that. You did that to me. You made that miserable. And
Yeah.
then there was a microsecond of hope towards the end of that conversation where she said to her mum, you know, something, I can't remember the lead in, but then her mum said, don't think that just because I, you know, say these, in fact, did I write it down?
Yeah,
Just
you probably
because I
wrote
don't,
it down. You probably got
yeah,
it down.
just because I don't say you're wonderful or so amazing doesn't mean I don't think you are. And you see Bronwyn for a split second go, oh, okay, wow, here we go. She's about to say something. Okay, like it's not all horrible. And then she says, I'm just busy being careful that you don't think you're so wonderful and that you're too good. Like, and
It's,
Brian was just like, oh, wow. Okay. So you're still pushing me down and attacking me and belittling me and making me feel small. And whether that's the Mormon humbling that
mm,
I've read a bit online, and a lot of people that have like left or have family in the religion, you know, talk about that being very much part of the culture. I just don't know how Bronwyn could truly move through this.
oh
I
yeah.
think she buries it. I think
Mm,
she's very good at pretending like she's like, oh, well, you know, my mom's really difficult, you know, and I don't want to be
she's
like her.
it's probably because she's attracted to people like that as well. So people talk to her like that. So that's kind of like the norm. That's kind of what I
Yeah,
was saying, that's what she's put up with for so long.
yeah,
And yeah, like I think she's very good at what I've kind of watched. I think we spoke about this in the last episode. She can say something and then it's kind of taken the wrong way, but the way she repairs is beautiful.
mm,
Like
mm,
there's real emotional intelligence there. I think that's
yeah,
what I see. Like you see it in her interviews. So I think the logical side of her is like, you know, with her mum. And then there's the
yeah,
emotional side, like you said, that there's been no work.
yeah,
She's just buried it. And that wound, exactly, that mother wound just is there hanging out everywhere.
huge,
And like I said, I
huge,
think it's hugely relatable. I don't think the way the mum speaks to her is relatable, although I have heard people talk about this, but I think the mother wound is very relatable,
mm.
especially for me. My mum only sent me a message last night with a photo of me as a teenager, and this is what she said. This is like she needs to give Muzzy some tips. So to give this context, my dad has dementia. I've asked my mum because I had a troubling relationship with my mum as a teenager. I never really liked her. I thought she was a bitch until I had a son. And then I was just always like, we just didn't get along. Anyway, my dad and I have been quite close, but I said to mum, why don't we in healing, as we're, you know, me, I'm so open to everything these days. I'm like, why don't we just start sending me, because I don't remember anything nice with you in my teens or my
Mm,
years, but I've got all these memories with dad. I said, why don't you start sending me your perspective with photos? And she's been doing that. And every
wow.
I cry and laugh.
Oh,
I know, it's really beautiful, isn't it?
beautiful.
So she should give Muzzy some tips, but she sent me this photo of me as a
Oh
teenager.
my God.
And she said,
Beautiful.
okay, I might cry. And not that this is supposed to be about me, but I just was saying, like, in regards to the wound,
Yeah.
sometimes I miss who my daughter was when she was little, not because of her age, but because I wish I could go back, hug her a little tighter, encourage her a little more, fix my mistakes, and relive every laugh, smile, and special moment together.
Oh my God. I'm going to cry.
I know.
Wow. Hides.
I know. And
Oh
I
my
just said to
God.
mum, hindsight is a real beautiful thing. Thank you. I'll send you a message tomorrow. You've been a phenomenal mother. I love you always and forever. I'd love to hear one day when we have more space what you think your mistakes were. Love you.
Wow. Wow. How
I
incredible.
know. And so that to me, like why I guess I
Oh,
understand, you know, and that's why I guess I asked about your mum, because all you would want to have is your mum here.
Yeah.
And then she probably wishes sometimes that her mum was dead, like,
Yeah.
the way that she was. And that's, I guess, like, I was kind of like, we all have
Yeah.
these different things with our mums
Oh,
that,
100%. And I think as a mother, that can't help but bleed into it too. And I think about, horrible things I've said in the heat of the moment, absolutely losing my mind with a kid with ADHD and like
yeah,
3 boys and a puppy and,
yeah,
10,000 jobs.
yeah,
And, losing my mind and
yeah,
screaming and thinking like, oh my God, I can't ever imagine in 15, 20 years' time sitting down on a couch with them and sticking to my guns about horror show Yana from 20 years ago. Like, I can only hope that I would sit there going, oh my God, can you believe it? I'm so embarrassed and I'm so sorry. And it's not an excuse, but I was not coping. And
yeah,
it was never you. It was always me. And like your mum, I wish I could go back even to 2 days ago and just hold my little 9-year-old and say, I'm so sorry. You can't help it. You can't stop moving and making noise, and it's not your fault. I just can't cope with it, with everything else that's going on. And the thing is, I do make those repairs and I make them, every day basically.
yeah.
But what a gift that you can be doing this with your mum now,
Mm,
especially with everything that's going on with your dad and all of the big stuff that your family's going through, to have this special time, even just to have that message, even if you never
yeah.
get anything more than that, that is so special. And I feel so sad for Bronwyn that
Mm,
she's probably never, ever, ever
gonna
going to
get that.
get a conversation like that with her mum. I don't think she's capable.
Do you think, as the therapist that you are, that she could heal herself through this, through the own work that she could do with her own inner child? Like, you know, have you done schema therapy?
No, but I
My
know
mum
it.
does schema therapy and
Wow.
she's like, it's so uncomfortable. But I've done like where you talk to the pillow, and mum's like, yeah, that's a bit like schema therapy. So
Yeah.
do you think that Bronwyn could do something like that? And can you explain a little bit what schema therapy is? Because for me, I'm like,
Yeah.
this is why I love this show, and you know this. I'm not
Yeah.
about fucking chaos drama so much. I'm more about like
Yeah.
this shit.
What's going on?
Yeah.
So there's different ways of kind of thinking about this. It's like parts therapy.
Yeah.
With my therapist, the way we kind of talk about things, she talks about, I love her way of breaking it down. It's like you've got all these different members of the boardroom inside you, and different ones come out at different times. So for me, when I'm losing my mind, who's there? It's actually probably adolescent me feeling totally out of control and
Yeah.
having a fucking teenage tantrum, stamping my feet and screaming, and I hate this family and I want to run away forever, that sort of vibe. So
Yeah.
she comes to the front and takes over. And I'm doing a lot of work at the moment trying to get 2025 me to take the reins and not just be sitting back going, oh yeah, 8-year-old me and 15-year-old me and 17-year-old me and 23-year-old me are like running to the front of the pack here.
Yeah.
But there's lots of different types of therapy where you can address different parts of yourself, but also different people in your life.
Yeah.
So, for example, Bronwyn may not be able to sit down and have a therapeutic conversation with her mum, but she can do that in therapy. And
Mm,
she can she can choose all of the different versions of herself that feel the different things for her mum. She could have the raging part of her that is so angry with her mum and
mhm.
voice all of that to her mum. She can have the griefy part of her that is just devastated that she didn't get the mum that she needed and the love and the support when she was particularly at her most vulnerable. A teenager, pregnant, from the
Oh,
Mormon belief, where it's like the ultimate shame and betrayal and all of those things. And she was not held and not loved and not supported or celebrated or anything through that, and still is not,
and
completely.
she's done such a great job of being a mum. Her daughter doesn't want to leave the house.
Yes.
Like, she doesn't want to move house.
Yes.
Like, that's me. That's when you know you've done a good job.
Totally. Totally. But then all those other parts of her that feel every kind of nuance towards her mum, she can voice all of that in therapy, and that would be so incredibly
So
healing.
healing. I think we need to
Yeah,
tag Bronwyn in this video, and we need to
yeah,
tell her, like, hug yourself, because if you're not going to get it from your mom, like, there's so much. Because this is the thing, sometimes people have all this money but they don't want to fucking go to therapy. Like, I would
yeah,
be sitting in that therapist chair every single day to
yeah.
heal that shit.
Yeah. And maybe this whole experience is what's going to get her to that place of healing. People talk about how people go on these shows when they've got a horrible marriage that they sort of need to get out of, or get them to see themselves in.
Yeah.
And that happens so often. And you hear people say, well, or like Kelsey Grammer got Camille Grammer onto Beverly Hills because he was actually having an affair and moving on and wanted to give her her own thing. There are so many reasons people go on these shows with, high conflict relationships and
Yeah.
majorly problematic relationships. And so maybe this was consciously or subconsciously a move for Bronwyn to start moving forward. The relationship with Todd was mirroring the relationship with the mum at times. That seems to start beginning to have some work done to it. Her mum cannot hide from this now. The whole world is on Bronwyn's side here, going, this was toxic and horrible and nasty and unfair and all of those things, and it's not okay.
I don't think
And
she'll care, though. I don't
who?
think the mum.
The mum. No, but this is for Bronwyn.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah,
this
yeah.
is for
That
Bronwyn. So
validation. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so it's like, oh my God, the whole world can see this has been so much worse than I could ever just voice. They've now seen it. And if
Mm.
that's what she's doing in front of the cameras, what is she doing every single day? Can you imagine the constant snipes?
And we've seen 5
Yeah,
minutes of
yeah,
their whole entire life.
yeah. And imagine that like sitting with that gaslighting of, well, you used to dump your kid on me and we didn't want her to go to foster care. And one breath later, well, we wanted her to be adopted and you didn't want that. Like, what are you saying? And you're saying, my parenting style is obviously way better than yours. And Bronwyn's like, but you're telling me there's everything wrong with me. How is your parenting better when I'm
Yeah.
your child that you're saying is wrong in every way? So there's just no winning with a person like that. You can't reason or rationalize, or it's just exhausting, and you can see that she's beaten down.
Yeah.
And can she come to a place where she does that work for herself, Bronwyn, and can still live alongside her mum in her own house and just accept that, you know what, mum, you have so many issues and as a product of your own beliefs and upbringing, and I forgive you for all of that, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to accept it anymore. So from now
Yeah.
on, when you say something like that, I'm going to put up my hand, I'm going to go, no, and I'm walking out of the room,
Oh,
or
yeah.
whatever it is.
Just a boundary, especially if she's going to have her mum live there.
Yeah.
I also, to wrap up the convo about Bronwyn, then I've got to go, sadly, but you can hang out with the rest of your housewives. And I love that Bronwyn's been up on your shoulder the whole time. Like,
Yes, here she is.
perfectly positioned.
Yeah.
I really, because her dad has got the Alzheimer's, and the way she described it in the episode as well, I was just like, oh, so she's also on that journey too. And I
Yeah.
think this is the thing maybe behind all of the housewives that we don't really understand. And it's the same thing in social media. You're only seeing the tiniest window of their lives. And so, yeah, they might be a see you next Tuesday in one episode because they've just had a fight, or they've just had this shitty news about their partner or their family member or their best friend just died.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes they're not always going to bring it to the table because they're in a reality show, which I know it's supposed to be a reality, but reality shows don't need shit all the time. Like, they need to have conversation with the girls. They need to have like these moments, do you know what I mean? Moments of joy. Like, you're going on a roller coaster. So I think sometimes when we kind of as viewers go, oh, they've changed this season, or oh, they're this, I don't think we allow them enough to actually that they're living lives where stuff's going on that they're not sharing the whole thing, or they are and it's being cut out for certain reasons. Because like I said, there's only so much a show can take. It's like coming from breakfast radio. You go on the roller coaster. We can't, if we've just had a really sad moment, then the next segment is not going to be sad. You know what I mean? The viewer needs to feel the ups and the downs and like, oh yeah, there's happiness in there as well. So I think that's something maybe I forget too. And I think we spoke about this before, because they just feel like characters.
Totally. I think that's such a great point. And we don't get a lot of the light and shade with a lot of the others. Like Meredith, it's sort of like the quirky background, the kids, there's not much going on there. Lisa, we're not really getting a lot of depth in her family and her background and her day-to-day either. You know, Mary, we see the stuff with her son, but again, that's just a snippet.
The church stuff this week, we have to do another episode on that. You have to. So have you the latest episode? We only spoke about that in your latest episode, and now it's out. I'm like, such
why
an interesting
the church coming back. I think she's silly to do this publicly,
unless she's not guilty.
I think she's probably guilty. There were videos that came out. There were videos of her screaming at her parishioners for more money for her birthday. Like literally that.
I can only stay for 5 more minutes because I have to go film Facebook ads and I have to, but so there's that with Mary, but there's also, this is where I think my view of the world is very rose-colored glasses sometimes, because even the Dr. Wendy stuff, what the actual fuck, I felt sick all day Saturday and then you didn't respond and I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. And I'm watching every reality thing pop up about how she was arrested with her husband for felonies. I'm fucking asking ChatGPT how long she's going to go to jail for. If she's a criminal, okay. But I just feel like I try and find the good in every single person. And I'm just like, no, this can't be.
Yeah, you are I feel like you are genuinely a much more positive person than a lot of people, particularly in the snarky Bravo world, right?
And my podcast wouldn't go that well because I'm too nice.
Yeah, this would not be a good audition tape. We'll cut this bit out. But I said to you when I finally got back to you, I feel like maybe I'm
you're desensitized.
Desensitized. That's it. Like there's just too many of these situations of fraud, and we had Dorit and PK essentially being accused of doing the same thing but not being arrested for it. You know, we've got Jen Shah in prison. We've had Teresa and Joe Judice in prison. We've got Karen Huger in prison. I mean, it's literally endless. So I'm just like, oh, and, you know, Mary, we've got potentially scammy. Lots of them seem to have lots of scammy skeletons. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, makes sense.
See, if I was on a reality TV show, and I always used to tell these stories on the radio, I still tell them on Instagram today, like I snorted heaps of lines of cocaine, I've had sex with random people, because there's some of the shit that I worry about. I've been mean and bullied people. I've spoke to people rude at this, you know, when they've been a waiter to me or a waitress when I've been in a bad mood. I feel like I've got to get it all out on the table. But that's all I've done. So
yes.
I just think everyone, I'm like, surely not. Like, I can't believe it.
But you know what? Maybe this again speaks to the personality type that is drawn to these kinds of roles on TV, that you just and in fact I think there's a fraud case that's going to come up about Bronwyn, believe it or not, this season. And we've got Lisa in court with 100 million cases.
Why would you go on TV if you had all these fucking skeletons like that? That's
because maybe it's such high level narcissism that you truly just believe nothing can touch me, and you believe your own bullshit, and you know, you think you can get away with things. I mean, Dr. Wendy was a lecturer at a university and quit that role after the first year of being a housewife. That tells you a lot, you know.
But I also thought, and I like, and this is her intellectual as well. She did speak about like going through the process of becoming, like, she was a mum, like a brand new mum. And, you know, she just was finding herself again, 3 kids. Like, do you know what I mean? So I kind of gave her grace for that, because I was like, yeah, you do kind of evolve. You do find something else.
True.
And she found this new kind of thing that's like, oh, this is brings me so much more joy than that. And do you know what I mean? She was getting her body back and all these different things. So I think that to me is why I kind of, because there is always something I've never been able to put my finger on with her as well. So, but I really liked Eddie, and I didn't think he'd be dodgy.
Oh my God. And a lawyer.
Well, they looked so stoned in the photo.
Yes. Those arrest photos, guys, go and Google the mug shots. They're the creepiest, scariest photos I've ever seen of somebody in a mug shot. And we've seen a lot of Bravo celebrities in mug shots.
Well, this
was next level.
Yeah, it's kind of like, so she's looking like, oh my God, we're fucking like we're stoned. And then his eyes he can't even open. But that for me, see, I was going through comment sections, reading like all this stuff. My ADHD was hyper focused on this, and then you're just like, and I'm like,
not surprised.
What if she goes to jail for 10 years?
Yeah. I mean, I'd be surprised, because like Jen Shah's prison sentence keeps getting reduced and her crime was way worse. They scammed the insurance company and lied to insurance company and police. Jen Shah was actually scamming the elderly, and really bad.
And for years.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's a sort of like a victimless crime more than what Jen Shah has done, and her prison sentence keeps getting reduced. So I don't think it's going to be. They'll probably do some time, but I don't think it's going to be a 10. I mean, I don't know. I really have obviously no clue legally, but it's just it feels like another one. Just another one.
Well, I fucking love today. Thank you. And now
Me too.
Now I've got to go to my work. I've got to go film. But
okay. I love you. Thank you for jumping on.
Love it. Do I just leave, or what do I do?
Well, let me just quickly plug anything you got coming up. Where should people find you? What do they do?
Don't worry about that. I mean, like, you can join my program. It's called Pitch Like a Publicist, and I help people basically tell their stories in the media and from stages. So anyone who wants street cred that way. However, just follow me on Instagram @ Heidi Anderson.
Perfect. Thank you, my love. I love chatting Housewives with you and can't wait to do it again soon.
You got me. All right. I love you. Bye.
Love